A knee specialist. A one-trick pony, right? Not at the Christ Hospital Health Network. We have integrated specialists for every area of orthopedic surgery, like perfecting your golf swing again, night strolls with your partner, or walking your daughter down the aisle. Everything it takes to get your life back. We specialize in that too. The Christ Hospital Health Network, everything it takes.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 802, how Luan Blancher is helping women discover their glow.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hi, friends. Before we get into this conversation with Luan, I want to talk to you about health coach Sarah and Team Fit With Me. Sarah has been my health coach and has helped me lose some weight in the past, get back on track, get my head in the game when things get tough, because it is really hard to do it on your own. If you're looking for an accountability partner, somebody to help you with gut health issues, if you have hormonal issues, Sarah can run labs and knows how to read those for you. If you're looking for somebody to help you gain strength or lose weight or just overall live a healthier lifestyle and you want some guidance because it's hard doing it alone, Sarah is a fantastic health coach and she has a whole team of people with her. So no matter what your goals are, Sarah can help you achieve those, and virtually too. So Sarah works with people all over the country, men and women. So if you want to work with Sarah, highly recommend. Go to teamfitwithme.com/poundthis to save 10% off of month one of all packages and plans. And if you're looking for some tasty, delicious, healthy meal prep and you're in the Cincinnati area, definitely check out Clean Eats. I go to Clean Eats in Newport, Kentucky. There's also the Westchester, Ohio location. Fantastic food, fresh ingredients. I know people have asked me, like, what's the difference between doing that and just getting like lean cuisines? Well, one, you know what all the ingredients are. Like, they're made right there. Even all of the frozen options, which there's a butt ton of those are all made fresh in the store, and they have pizzas and protein powders, and then they make like these awesome Buckeyes with protein powder too. Oh my God, they're so good. And there's Clean Eats all over the country. So if you're not in Cincinnati, you can check out and see if there's a Clean Eats near you. But if you're in Cincinnati, definitely recommend checking it out. It's like healthy food that's convenient. And I mean, I think the price is phenomenal, and the price is different for depending on if you get the frozen meals or the fresh meals, or if you only get a few meals, or I do the 21 meals. So it all kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you go to cleaneats.com, you can look up all that information right there, and just saving the time and energy. Like for me, not having to cook on Sundays and actually having a day off, phenomenal. And lots of variety. If you're a picky eater, then that'll help. Also, there's low carb options, high protein options if you want to change up the macros. Fantastic. Check out Clean Eats right now. Let's check out Luan. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine. Very excited to chat with my guest today, Luan Blancher. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me, Amanda.
I'm so excited to chat with you. We met very briefly on the phone. My friend Lindsay was like, you have to meet Luan. She is a total badass. And I'm like, I love badasses. So yes, I do need to meet her. So we chatted on the phone for a little bit, and I'm like, man, you've got like such an amazing story, and I can't wait for you to share that here. So thank you so much for joining me and sharing about your whole life story and your health and wellness story, because you've done some incredible things.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me again. Thanks for the recommendation, Lindsay. Hope she's listening to this episode.
Oh, I'm sure she is. So tell me a little bit about you. I mean, well, I'll start by saying that you work in the health and wellness space in Cincinnati. But I guess before we kind of get to where you are now and what you're doing, tell me a little bit about where you grew up, your background, what got you interested in this kind of work, et cetera.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Barbados, which is a small island in the Caribbean, and I came to the U.S. on a track and field scholarship. So Division I track and field, went to Missouri State University. Go Bears! I have to put a shout out there for Missouri State. And there I did like long and triple jump, the short sprints, and also like the 4x1 100-meter relays. So after that was done, after I was finished with my undergrad, I went to grad school at Washington State University, and I was just like, what am I going to do here besides studying? And I remember just walking into the one place that I was comfortable, which was the athletic department, introduced myself to the group there. And they were like, awesome. We're glad that you're here. Do you want to volunteer coach? Absolutely. I will volunteer coach. And so, being in fitness and track and field, it was just a natural continuation. And I had a lot of friends and kind of colleagues in my cohort they were always asking me for fitness advice. And one of my friends said, why don't you just go become a personal trainer? And I was like, such a good idea. So then I'll have that, certification behind what I'm actually telling you guys. And the story just and that's where it kind of like just begins. And a couple years afterwards, I moved to Cincinnati, was working at the Y. And during the pandemic, something just kind of clicked. And I said, hey, you know what? I think this is time for me to kind of open up my business. And before that happened in 2016, I had this kind of major health crisis and I almost went blind. My retina detached. And that was also part of a wake-up call, which we'll kind of, talk about a little bit further in terms of, how do you feel about yourself? How do you assess yourself? How does fitness kind of fit into your life? So through that major health scare, I really had time to sit down and assess myself, kind of assess like what makes me happy. So fitness makes me happy because it's just been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. And I really value like helping people. So, it just was an obvious and kind of natural progression to put those two things together and then to kind of start a fitness business really dedicated to kind of empowering women.
So I guess my first question is like, did you ever have intentions of like wanting to stay in the US?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was always intention to kind of stay here. Yep.
Okay.
I like it here.
Do you ever go back?
Oh yeah, I try to go back at least once a year, like to visit my family. Most of my family's there. I have some here, but most of my family's back in Barbados. A lot of my friends are back in Barbados. It's just like, yeah, but I do like it in the US. I enjoy it. There's a lot of neat and cool things that you can do here. I do miss the beach.
Yeah,
right?
I was
That's
gonna
the
say.
one thing the one thing I kind of miss, the beach, the community, the colors, the vibrant people, but my life is here now. So this is where I am.
Yeah, I just say it's such a stark contrast of like how people vacation there and it's so beautiful. And then you're like, oh, but no, I'm choosing to live next to the Ohio River. That's it for me. I'm going to choose this 300 days out of the year.
I just rely on the option of like knowing that I can always get on a plane and go to one of the most beautiful islands in the world.
Yeah. That's very nice. That's a nice option. I definitely, if I go home, I'm going to Illinois, which is more of the same. So very different options. So one, before I definitely want to talk to you about what happened with your eye, because that's just insane. But so do you still have any of the track and field is that active in your life at all? Is that something where you're like, I used to do that, I used to run and I'm over it now? Or do you still like to run on a regular basis?
Yeah, I still do like to run. I've done a couple races. I've done the half marathon, so that I did the Flying Pig this year, or I should say, this year I did the Queen Bee 4-miler, and I got a group of ladies to come join me, and we trained and do running. I'll always identify as an athlete. That's who I am. That I've been that for like a long time. So for me, it's kind of ingrained in my soul, and I really think that there's an athlete in each one of us as well too.
Oh, that's fun to think about. So
it's true.
What happened with your eye situation and almost going blind?
Honestly, I have no idea. It was as if like this. I was just talking to you, and all of a sudden, I couldn't see out of one eye. I couldn't see anything like on the bottom half. And at the time, I was wearing glasses, and I was like, "Oh, I think something's on my glasses. Let me go clean them." And I remember taking them off and cleaning them and realizing, oh, no, that's not on my glasses. That's in my eye. And then just kind of started freaking out. I had emergency surgery to get the retina repaired. Part of that recovery entailed me lying face down for 23 hours a day on a special pillow, if you think of like a massage pillow. And, I won't go through all the details, but it took about, I would say, 4 years to really be at this stage that I'm at. And I really have to give shout out to CEI, so the Cincinnati Eye Institute. They have been wonderful throughout the entire process. Really good doctors, really good care, just being on top of everything.
So, like, how long during that time were you thinking, like, I might like lose my eyesight?
I think, when it happened, and then, going to the eye doctor at that time, just being in complete shock, like, wait, what is happening? And after the surgery, like, they have a way of talking to you to let you know, like, it's we can fix this. And the minute you hear that, then you feel better, right? So in terms of like losing your eyesight completely, not so much, because they caught it early on and they were able to fix it. But again, having been this super healthy person, where the most I've ever had was like a cold or flu, to going into major surgery, mentally, that was jarring, and that was shocking. And it took me a while to kind of grasp that as well.
So how do you feel like the going through that experience and then the recovery from it has changed you?
Well, I would like to say that I've always been kind of a resilient person, but I mean, anything where there's this major shift in your life, whether mentally or physically, makes you kind of reassess your life. What is it that I'm doing? Am I living up to my true potential? Am I living up to the purpose that, I'm on earth, to do? So really made me stop to think, like, am I really happy? What does that look like? What are the talents that you have? Are you really utilizing them? And how do you kind of bring that all together to have a more kind of cohesive and kind of holistic life? And again, it was through that recovery that it's like, wow, like fitness has always been there, right? And at that time, I'm so kind of working in corporate, and it's like, you've always done something with fitness, been involved in it. You're always watching sports, you get excited whenever there are any sort of championships. You're always like, people come to you constantly, for advice. And then when I think about the true nature of myself, what gets me is the ability to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I bring that into Sculpt and Glo Fitness. Is like, I'm so excited when I see my clients achieving something, when I see them go from, maybe starting at zero, and how they've now progressed over a week, 2 weeks, a month. Like, that excites me. And I have to realize that. And I thought that was just normal for everybody, but realizing like, not everybody gets excited about that. So again, how do I bring these two things together? How do I marry these two things together to really kind of, again, fulfill my purpose and be happy with what I'm doing?
Well, what I think is pretty amazing too, which we just kind of learned when we chatted on the phone, is that the Y that I work at is the Y that you taught at, which I'm like, no way. So,
I know.
So what did you, before, you opened your own business and stuff, what did you teach at the Y?
I was teaching bar, and that was really fun. And the thing about bar is that I stumbled upon bar. So at the time, the fitness director was like, well, we need a new group fitness class. And I was so excited. I was like, okay, I'll do TRX. I'll do this. And she's like, no, I want a bar class. I was like, bar? Really? Are you sure you don't want me to do boot camp or something? She was like, no. So I found a, certification. I did the bar certification, and then teaching it at the Y was just awesome, because a lot of people go into bar thinking it's just for dancers, it's too hard. But I always tell my clients, like, just try it. And sometimes you need to try something more than once to figure out if you like it or if you feel it. And I'll be honest with them, sometimes too, I said, I might not be the teacher that you connect with. Maybe try a different teacher. But it was really interesting to see all shapes, all body types, all fitness levels. I even had I had a couple guys in the class, and one of them was like a bodybuilder type guy. And he loved it because it helps him to work on his flexibility and, his mobility and his movement and his balance. So again, when it comes to any sort of like fitness classes, I always tell my clients, just try it. But teaching bar, and again, seeing how these women saw their posture improve or their balance improve, and, thinking like, oh, I will never be able to do this, but really coaching them through it and seeing them coming out at the end. It was wonderful. It was a good experience. I feel like I never had a bad class, but again, here comes this. I enjoy seeing people succeed at what they're doing, especially in fitness.
Yeah. So when COVID hit and obviously the Y shut down and the entire world shut down, and you're sitting there having that thought process, and you'd already mentioned that you kind of had this epiphany of like, man, I should start my own business. Like, so what did that thought process come to be like? Okay, like, well, I mean, as a person who started my own business, there's a lot that goes into it of like, so what are you thinking of, like, what can I do? How am I going to build this? What's my niche, or what's my space? Like, how did you kind of formulate all of that together while the entire world was on fire?
Yeah, good question. Starting a business is something that I've always wanted to do. It's always been at the back of my mind, right? So these are the thoughts came to mind too, again, when I was going through that recovery for my eye. And then I think the pandemic just had this weird effect on everybody where it made everybody, you said the world's on fire, but it also made everybody kind of sit still a little bit and say, what should I be doing, or what could I be doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm someone who's very much a thinker. Sometimes I overthink, and this can be a flaw, but this can be a blessing. And as I was sitting down thinking, I'm like, maybe this is a sign. Maybe this is a sign for me to do something on my own, right? I've always, again, love fitness, love encouraging, empowering people, always wanted to start my business. Why not? So this was probably one of the first times where I didn't overthink, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the leap. So not saying that I didn't plan for it. There are things that I set up in place, just, things about like the website, what's the mission and the vision, who would be my target client. But after that, I didn't think too much because, again, I've been thinking for years about this. And if you think sometimes a little too much, you're going to kind of convince yourself that, you shouldn't do it. There's something that I can't do. This is the reason why. And I was just like, you know what? This is it. I'm going to take the leap. And if it succeeds, yes. And if it isn't successful, at least I would have learned from it. And either I'll try again or I'll try something else. So that was my approach. And I jumped off the cliff with a little parachute, but I jumped off the cliff.
So then tell me, like, what is Sculpt and Glo Fitness? And so what did you build, and what do you continue to keep building?
Yeah. So really the vision and the mission behind Sculpt and Glo is really to empower women to take fitness into their own hands, right? And to really see the benefits both physically and mentally of fitness. So again, as I was going through this recovery with my eye, what I realized is women kind of fall into this, to these like rules of society of what we should do, right? We should be taking care of our spouses and our kids and the parents and even our pets. And a lot of times when we think about a list of responsibility, we're taking care of so many things. We're pouring into so many things. We're pouring into our corporate job, our families, and so on. And we often kind of put ourselves at the bottom of the list, or we sometimes fall off the list. And this comes in forms of, okay, I'll do that tomorrow. Well, then tomorrow comes and you don't do it. So you say, oh, I'll do it the next day, and it doesn't do it. Or I don't have time. I got to take care of this. I need to do this. And we don't put ourselves first until something happens, until there's a health scare or somebody tells us something, or maybe there's a death in the family. Something jolts us into then taking care of ourselves. And I really wanted women to say, okay, hey, stop for a minute. I need to put myself first a little bit, right? I need to spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes moving my body so that then I can feel those physical benefits and I can feel those mental benefits. And the other thing with Sculpt and Glo that I really wanted women to kind of realize is that when you take care of yourself, because women are leaders, right? They're natural leaders. We are the ones who are kind of leading everything. Everybody else is going to follow. Your kids now are going to see how it is that mom is taking care of themselves. What does that look like? Your spouse is going to do that. Your family members are going to do that. They're going to be inspired by you, right? They might even join you. But the thing is that you have to set those boundaries and say like, hey, I'm pouring into all of you and that's fine. But I also need to pour into myself a little bit too, because I need to take care of me as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things too, that's so much easier said than done. It's like you can have that, outside intellectual understanding, like that I should take care of myself, but to actually put those movements into place and to do it feels so hard. And which is why I'm such a big believer of like having good coaches and people in your life that can be there and like do the journey with you, because otherwise if you're just like going to leave yourself to be like, I'm going to take care of myself, you probably usually won't, at least speaking from personal experience.
And absolutely. And I can say that because I myself speak from personal experience, right? I, not only am I a lifelong learner, I'm a little bit of an overachiever. So I was pouring 110% into my job. I was like, got to do it, got to get it done. Pouring a lot into my kid, pouring into my spouse, pouring into like my friends and community. And I was just like giving so much. And I knew the benefits of fitness. And it's not that I wasn't incorporating it into my life. I wasn't consistent about it. I wasn't intentional about it. I wasn't purposeful about it. So I was just like, oh, I'll do this. I'll rush this. To be honest, sometimes I was half-assing it, just because I knew what to do. But it's just like, was that really beneficial in the end? So when my clients come to me, I know it's almost like I have this firsthand experience. I know what they're talking about. I know the struggles they're going through. I know how hard it is to, fit literally fitness into their lives. But because of my personal experience, I can find that. I can say, hey, how about just walking for 10 minutes a day? Can you do that? Is that possible? And it's interesting when you give people like bite size or nugget, like piece of advice. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. Okay, cool. Like, can you do that on the off days you don't see me? And it's interesting. They'll be like, I can do 20 minutes. Well, I only told you to do 10, but if you want to do 20, that's fine.
Yeah, right.
Right. So to your point, you kind of need that accountability partner. You need that coach. You need that mentor. You need that friend. And that's what Sculpt and Glo really is. It's not just, hey, come, let's work out. It's like, how do I design a program that fits you, that fits your body, that fits your lifestyle? Right?
So does that just incorporate like, so you're not just doing like, hey, we're doing just regular personal training. We're not doing a bar class. It's kind of like if somebody comes in to work with you, it's like, let's figure out how your body moves and we're going to move your body in the best way possible.
Yeah. So if I'm doing the group fitness classes, that's more a little bit more like, I would say kind of cookie cutter. I do get variations in those classes depending on your fitness levels. But when you're coming for a personal training session, we always start off, why are you here? What is your why? Mm-hmm. What is your goal? And then you get into, okay, what are some of the injuries? What are the things that you're dealing with? No, I don't. I generally don't believe that there is a one size fits all. And I have one client that told me recently, she said, I used to work out with a trainer, awesome person, very knowledgeable, but they just didn't get me.
Yeah.
And that's what I want, when my clients come to me, I want them to know that I understand them, I hear them, I feel them, I see them, and we're designing workouts for their bodies and the goals that they're trying to achieve. So for instance, if you come to me and you're trying to train for a marathon, that's going to be completely different than if you come to me and you say, hey, I'm trying to get better at my golf swing.
Yeah.
Two completely different goals, right? If you come to me and you say, hey, I want to increase my flexibility, at the same time I'm trying to lose a couple pounds, that's going to be different than the client that's coming to me saying, hey, I'm just coming off of like a knee injury and my doctor also said I need to lose weight. Now the common thing there is, yeah, you both need to lose weight, but they're very like different things in there. So definitely really listening to my clients, watching their movements, being attuned to them and seeing what works. A lot of times too, we see these sort of, everybody go do a burpee. Not everyone can do a burpee. Can we modify that? Do we understand why not everyone can do a burpee? There's some people who have certain injuries that won't allow them to do certain exercises. So really, again, talking to my clients, understanding them, understanding if there's any pain, right? And really adapting around that. At the end of the day, I want everyone to know that you can work out. There's fitness for you. Whether you have an injury, you don't have an injury, you might I'll always find a way for you to work out.
So how do you take care of yourself? In what ways do you like to move your body?
Yeah, good question. So personally for me, I like challenges. So daily I should say I walk. So especially if I'm, sitting all day, I understand like after like 30 minutes, I need to get up, I need to move. So I'm walking, I'm running, and I actually just started a power yoga challenge. So that's really interesting for me too. I love lifting weights. Just when you think about the background of a track athlete and just anything with strength training, I do like, but really incorporating a lot of these flexibility, mind, body, soul exercises, and just taking daily walks with my dog as well too is helpful.
What is power yoga?
It is challenging. It is yoga that focuses a little bit more on strength and really going through a flow, holding those poses a little bit longer, but these poses tend to be a little bit challenging. Now, traditionally, I like to do yin yoga, which is more of like a restorative yoga. You sit, you hold your poses for like 2 to 5 minutes. It's really getting into the fascia. But, power yoga it's a whole different thing. And it's, for me, it's a challenge. It's a learning exercise. There's also, again, too, this mind-body connections, a little bit of meditation in there as well. But man, you sweat a lot when you do power yoga.
So is that a class that you take, or is that like a virtual thing, or?
It's more of a virtual thing.
Okay.
Given my schedule with the business and family, I do virtual. Yeah, it's more virtual.
Yeah, I tend to be more of the restorative yoga person. And see, that's one of those things where I've done some yoga here and there, and I've always kind of labeled myself as a person that doesn't like yoga. I like the restorative, but I don't like the stuff that's like, because I'm like, I need it, which is why I don't like it, because it's uncomfortable, because I'm tight everywhere. But I feel like I feel like maybe I need to kind of circle back around and give it another chance. I did that with bar. I will say I do not like bar. I went to several bar classes with several different instructors, and I'm like, it feels like there's knives in my feet. I can't get into this. But yoga, I feel like I've done a little bit, and there's some I like and some I don't, where I'm like, I feel like I need to give it another good solid chance again. Just to the point that you were making of like, don't write something off forever. Give something a solid chance and give it several tries before you're just kind of like, I hate this, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I would say, okay, with bar, you have to try my class. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. I'll try it.
I'll put that plug in there. And with you, like yin yoga, restorative yoga, I think the reason why I like that one more is because when you think about my frame, think about a track and field athlete, like I have large muscles, right? It takes me a while to kind of warm up and stretch and get deep. So some of the other yoga classes I was going to, I felt like the warm up wasn't long enough, right? I was still kind of like stiff and tight, and we're going through all these different poses. And for me, the yin and restorative yoga, it was like, okay, I have time to really sit here, warm up, feel myself stretching, feel my flexibility increase. But again, I like challenges, so I'm like, I'm gonna try this power yoga, and it's kicking my butt, but I like it.
Yeah, I would give that a try. I feel like I wouldn't have to do some restorative and get a little stretchier first. So, but I feel like another thing, I haven't taken an in-person yoga class since pre-COVID, but I don't really know if it'd be that different now. But I will say things about the yoga classes I had taken in the past that I didn't like is it felt like you were like right on top of each other. Like people were sweating like right up on top of me because the class is so full, and usually yoga studios are so small that I'm like, I don't really feel very yin. I don't feel very zen while some dude's crotch is in my face because he's like 4 inches away from me on the next mat.
So you're either going to have to find a bigger studio, or you're going to have to stick to virtual.
But see, I'm afraid with virtual, this is how I feel about virtual fitness stuff. I think it's awesome, and I think it's amazing, and I'm glad that it exists. But for me, and it's so funny because I am such a self-motivated person, I won't stick to it the same way as if there's a class and there's a time and there's other, like, I don't mind other people being in some group fitness classes. It kind of depends on what it is. Like a Zumba, I don't like because I'll bang into people. So I don't know. I have this weird, finicky, very picky things that I like, I guess, with group fitness stuff. But like the virtual stuff, I feel like it doesn't appointment set enough for me. And I feel like that I can blow it off so much easier, and it doesn't light the same part up in my brain as actually going to an actual class or seeing an actual trainer, or just even physically going into a gym. Like if I'm trying to do, like during COVID and I'm trying to do these workouts at home in 2020, that was really challenging for me because I just wouldn't do it in my house. I would go for a walk. I would walk all day, but if I had to do a workout inside of my house, I wouldn't do it. And I don't know why I'm kind of like wired that way. And I've just like been trying to work past that. And I'm not really sure what that is or how relatable that is to other people, but I really wish that the virtual thing made more sense for, and even working at the Y, I'm like, wow, I have like empty rooms available to me when there's not a class going on. I could easily take my phone or grab a tablet and do a virtual class in one of those rooms. And for some reason, I just like won't do it.
Would you prefer like a live virtual where you can see it's like maybe like a Zoom call where you can see other people working out with you? 'Cause it sounds like you kind of miss that community, almost like people around.
I think I like the feedback of, I think especially in yoga, of, am I doing this right? Am I holding the pose right? Like even just like doing like a pigeon pose, like I'm like, do I have my legs in the right space? Am I actually like stretching the way I'm supposed to? So I think I like having an instructor there to like either like come tap to be like, move this here. And so I can kind of like feel and know what I'm doing and make sure I'm doing it correctly. So I think that's the part that I find a little bit more necessary, and to just the mirror effect of like it's backwards like on a screen really messes me up. Like, and this is a true story, but like this was even longer ago, like when the Wii was a thing, like when it was popular. I bought Zumba for weeks. I'm like, I don't want to go to a Zumba class, but I'll do Zumba in my house. And because it's like backwards and you're doing like I don't know why my brain doesn't comprehend that. I never got a higher score than 1%. And I'm like, I just can't do it when like they're going this way and I'm going this way. And like, I just like, I don't know why I can't. My brain is just like, nope, too much.
I'm glad you know this about yourself.
I didn't know if you had run into this problem with any other clients, but I'm just very jealous that you're able even to do like a hardcore power yoga class virtually. Like, man, I wish I could do. I mean, I could technically do it, but would I have the consistency and stick to it? I don't know if I would. And I wish I would. I don't know how to, like, how do you change those habits within yourself, I guess? If there's something that you want to do and you want to create that habit for you, which, I mean, I think we all relate to in some way, but like, how do you actually just start implementing it if you know yourself and you know that you're weird about those things? I don't know. It's a tough one.
That's a tough one. For you, definitely, yes, you need an accountability partner or a coach or a mentor. I'll do it with you. You find one, and I don't live too far from the Y that you work at. I'll come to an empty studio and do a virtual class with you.
Oh, okay. I'm down for that. Well, I got to take your bar class.
Yes.
So, I mean, I will give that. It's been a long time since I've taken one of those, but I mean, I'm up to try again.
Yeah. So it will be a challenge, but you can do it. I believe in you.
Thank you. So where do you teach your in-person group fitness classes at?
The St. Bernard kind of dance and fitness studio. So I teach on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Lovely group of ladies that are there. A lot of them have tried bar for the first time. And actually that class is actually going to change for the new year. It's going to be more of like a fusion type class, because I really want to start incorporating light weights in there as well to kind of challenge them a little bit more. So it's going to be more of like a bar, yoga, Pilates, a little bit of light weights, fusion type class that's coming for the new year. So yeah, come check it out. Tuesdays, 7 p.m., St. Bernard Dance and Fitness Studio.
So do you have to be any sort of like member there or do a registration, or how do you, or you just show up?
No, you just show up. I can take your payment, or you can go online and also register on the website as well too. So I know you're coming, but hey, you can just drop in as well too, and I'll be there. Always happy to see new faces and welcome you.
So where do you do your personal training fitness?
In Wyoming. So definitely there's a Wyoming rec center. and great facility. And I see my clients there. There's a separate room downstairs that we can use, or we can use the main gym area. And having a track and field background, I tend to put some of my clients outside as well too. So we're like running stairs, we're doing drills on the turf, because again, all of this helps with your mobility and flexibility. And then changing the scenery, I think is good. Some of my clients get very bored, just being in one spot all the time. I myself sometimes get a little bit bored. So I'm always kind of changing up not only the routine, but the scenery as well too, to just keep it exciting and engaging for them.
Luann also does virtual coaching, so you can work with Luann anywhere. You can find her on her website at sculptandglo.com. Also on Instagram, you can follow her at Sculpt and Glo Fitness. Again, Glo spelled Glo. Full disclosure, my computer decided to stop working at the end of our interview, so we never got to really fully wrap up because, you know what? Life happens, technical issues happens, and my recording program decided it no longer wanted to work. So now that I got things back and working, I get to re-record the ending of this podcast because that's real life and that's how things work. So I'm glad that I get to have most of my conversation with Luann that you could hear, but she's amazing. I'm so excited to take some of her classes. So I'll put her information in the show notes with her Instagram and her website. And again, thank you so much for listening.
AmandaValentineBites.com